So how are you doing today, Lori?
I'm doing better today.
Well, I've been thinking about the whole school situation and everything else, and I
hmm
came up with a funny conclusion.
What's that?
Yes, you went to school to be a teacher,
hmm
and they taught you how to do the material or to cover the material, but did they prepare you for the new age student?
No. And keep in mind, I graduated in 91. So what are we here?
30 years
30
later.
years. Yeah. So the student is completely different. Completely different. And um, there's there is a movement and started out in California, in fact, called the Modern Classrooms Project. And it's what am I trying to say? It's what they call a flipped classroom. The teacher records themselves teaching, and all the videos are supposed to be short, no more than, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes each or something. And and you do it for the whole unit, and then the kids watch the video. They are supposed to teach themselves, is what my understanding is from watching the video. Do practice problems or whatever, get help from the teacher, from classmates, etc. And then when they're ready, they take like an assessment over that particular unit
Okay.
or that particular section, and then they take a big test at the end of the unit, I think. And I'm not convinced that it works in math, or that it works for the type of student that I teach, because the type of student that I teach now, instant gratification. They want it immediately. And it's they're not getting that from watching a video. They're not, I don't think that, I always say that math is not a spectator sport. And so how can they watch these videos and teach themselves, so to speak? And my job is just to facilitate them teaching themselves.
Well, I think they've lowered expectations for the student, and to a certain extent, you have teachers who can't teach, so they use this as the way of kind of guiding towards standards more so than actually teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have states where they literally teach everything based off of what's going to be on the standards test.
Mm-hmm. I think every state does that. And to be honest, if you have a valid test, then there's nothing wrong with that. I don't believe at all. I mean, if you're going to go run a marathon, you're going to practice running a marathon and try to get your time down. You're not going to practice for a marathon and then go run sprints. So if the test that you're giving at the end measures what you want to teach, then you need to teach to the test. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Now, the question becomes, though, who makes the tests and is it valid?
Well, obviously I say that because I've seen some kids who do great on the standards test,
Mm-hmm.
but then they get off to college and a half-eaten grilled cheese sandwich is better math than they do.
Yeah, because they haven't learned persistence. One of the phrases that my colleague next door uses that I'm starting to use in class is the productive struggle.
Okay,
And
explain.
she talks about how, because I went to her and I said, it's taking entirely too long for me to get through a section. It's there's only one of me, and by the time I go around and answer all their questions, much more time has passed than it should be. And she said, don't. She said, I don't answer all their individual questions. They work with their seatmates. They're in pairs. And they have to go, she said, they have to go through that productive struggle. And she says, I'll model it for them. And she talks about how, okay, she pretends that she's the two students. And she's like, hey, do you know how to do that problem? No, I don't know. I don't know what to do. What are we going to do here? Well, I don't know. I guess we need to start by looking back at our examples. Okay, well, that looks like this example right here. And it looks like she wrote down something. I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, I've got that in my notes right here. And that dialogue back and forth. And they're struggling together, and they figure it out by bouncing things off of each other, by heading down wrong avenues. And so they're struggling through, but it's a productive struggle. It's persistence.
Okay.
And I think that's what a lot of kids are missing nowadays too, is they're used to this instant gratification. I do this and I get, I'm trying to think of the video game analogy and it's not coming to me. But when they can't look at the problem and see exactly what to do, they give up and they don't even want to try. They don't even want to start. And, so I got kids coming to me, I don't know what to do. Okay, well, where are you going to start? I don't know. Have you drawn out the diagram? No. Okay, well, I told you when we talked about how to do these problems, I said, you want to, and I'm much more kind about it, but I'm like, I told you to draw the drawing out. Draw your drawing. Draw the drawing. Now fill in the information that you were given. They'll fill the information in. Now, what did we learn in class today? And
well, I think one of those things we kind of have to remember is most of their parents weren't given the life skills to have shown them that math, English, social studies, whatever it is, all of it all kind of goes together. And if you have certain patterns of behavior, if you do this pattern and you take it across the board, you generalize it, all of a sudden you realize, hey, this works. Kind of like as a parent, there's a lot of trial and error in there. They're like, I hope I don't kill anybody. And you do that trial and error because nobody can really teach you how to be a parent. They can kind of give you some techniques, some principles.
And teaching is much the same. No one can teach you how to be a teacher. I mean, they give you techniques to use. You have all kinds of things in your tool bag, different strategies to use for, not only for teaching the content in multiple different ways, but also managing behavior in different ways. And, the more experience you have, usually the bigger your bag of tricks.
And that's why, like I said, looking at the group, like a lot of people talk about, well, why would you go from daycare to working at a lockdown facility with kids? Because the reality is it's the exact same behaviors. It's just bigger toddlers.
Yeah.
So they still have the same attachment disorders. They still want to get that same attention. They still want to do all those things. They're just a bigger version. So even though you have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, a lot of them still are going to have those same problems that those 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds are going to have. They're just bigger.
Yep.
So they can't stay in their seats. They can't control their talking. They can't delay the instant gratification. They can't stop themselves when I'm mad because this didn't happen right now.
Yeah, one of the talks with one of the girls was almost late today because there was a fight. And people like, a fight where? Oh man, I'm sorry, I missed it. You should have called me. And I'm just like, I made the comment, I feel like I'm back in Roman gladiator days. And I've said that every time. It's nothing new, but just calm, peace, zen.
But that's why yesterday, like I said, even though it was jokey and it seems like it's little kid stuff, not making direct references to them, but just referencing the little pictures around the room.
Mm-hmm. And that came to mind today. You came to mind today when I was teaching, because I had two students that were they were going through the productive struggle. I watched them, and I started to give them, I started to hand tickets directly to them. And then I thought, wait a minute, no, don't call them out. And so I said, I've seen this. Here's what I said. I'm not gonna point them out, but I've seen a couple of students going through this productive struggle, and I saw them helping each other and talking the problem through, and that's what I want to see. And then privately, I gave them the 2 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a brand new teacher all over again. I really do.
Because every year you're going to learn something new. Every year is going to be, the more experienced you get, the more of a disconnect you're going to have with this group of students that you aren't even doing rehabilitation. You're habilitating, because a lot of them have never gotten that attention to push them to do better. They've just been moved along, because a lot of school systems no longer say you pass or fail kids. It comes down to the principal who determines if it's more detrimental to fail them than it is to just move them along.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I had a girl today. The mom emailed the counselor. Girls in my geometry class. She's a sophomore. Mom emails the counselor and says, I don't think that she's in the right math class. And I looked at her notes, and it was obvious that the basics weren't covered. And I think she's in too high of a math class. And so the counselor, while she's talking on the phone with me, is looking through whatever she's got. And it turns out this girl transferred to us from a different school with 1 credit. 1. She did not pass Algebra 1. Well, in geometry, Algebra 1's a prerequisite.
Right.
And so, no, I'm not going to go back and teach multi-step equations, because that's what you learned in Algebra 1.
Right.
And I don't care. Even my kids who went through COVID, they got it. They a lot of them knew how to solve two-step multi-step equations.
Right.
I saw no greater percentage of kids not knowing how to do it than I normally do.
Right.
So I really hope they take this girl out of my geometry class. She gonna fail if she don't pick up some geometry quick, or pick up some algebra quick.
Well, at least the mom recognized that she was in the wrong class.
Yeah, I felt a little bit like she was trying to blame me. Oh, well, the basics weren't covered. Well, yes, they were. Your kid was already supposed to know XYZ.
Well, that may have also been the case, because there could have been a lack of taking ownership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's one of those things I thought about today, is the assumption that people know stuff versus going back and literally starting at step 1. And like I said, that goes even for parenting or being a teacher. Like I said, it's that building steps on top of the routine.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I feel like a new teacher. So a part of you sounded frustrated, but at the same time, this is your chance to relearn it and to do it the way that you're going to want to move forward. Because you're saying, all right, for the next 5 years, this is probably what those kids are going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And each year, unless something magical happens and we get a different brand of kid, we're going to have lowered expectations.
They're lower now than they were when I first started. And every teacher will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with somebody yesterday, or this at some point, I don't know when it was, yesterday, day before, or something like that. Found out that this person actually had been an illegal immigrant. And because they came over on a tourist visa and then just overstayed
Uh-huh.
and ended up getting their green card because they married an American. But this whole time when they were illegal, I'm like, how did you support yourself? And they worked in restaurants that didn't check papers. They
Oh,
said you can buy black market
oh no,
IDs.
it's worse than that. I talked to a friend of mine who was a manager at Golden Corral. They
Mm-hmm.
used to go out and buy them fake papers
Oh
so they
yeah,
could work.
yeah.
So that's
But
why you have so many illegals in the kitchen.
but the idea is that the point I was trying to get at was the fact that this person were willing to work.
Right.
And a lot of kids nowadays, a lot of Americans don't want to work. It goes back to that, if I can't get it immediately, then I'm just going to sit here and wait till somebody hands it to me.
Absolutely.
And that's, I'll deal with that. I can deal. I mean, what frustrates me is that I don't have I don't have a very big bag of tricks when it comes to like the fun activities, or not even the fun activities, but by losing that notebook that I needed, a lot of my lesson plans with my worked out examples and okay, this problem is just like an example, just like a problem on the test. And making sure that they understand the language of the test, because we don't make up our tests. The tests are on computer, and you have we use terminology that's mathematically correct. They use terminology on the test that's mathematically correct, but sometimes the two don't jive. So we have to make sure to teach them, okay, this is what you use that makes sense, but this is how the computer wants you to answer the question. Makes sense?
That makes sense.
So, and I don't have a lot of those pre-worked examples, or like something new that I'm learning this year is how to make a digital notebook. It's a Google slideshow, and the slides from the master presentation are linked to student copies. And so every time you change the master, the kid comes in and they hit an update button and they can update. And so I've been doing my openers that way. And I've been having problems just because it's a new technology. And I'm starting to actually get that process down, how that works. Found out where I made a big mistake, and it's taken me longer to go back and fix that. But then, I got to cut and paste problems into my openers every day. And so, I'm spending 30 minutes preparing something that, okay, next year I'll have it. Yay, life is good. But I don't this year.
That's okay. Why don't you be a dinosaur and just do overhead projector, those little clear sheets?
Oh, I'm doing that right now. I got my Surface Pro, and I'm wanting to put everything digital on that so that I can write on my Surface Pro like I would on an overhead projector, except I'm not tied to the projector, not
Right.
tied to my desk. But until I get this digital notebook thing squared away and know what I'm doing and it's working consistently with all the kids, I'm not going to try learning anything new yet.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, because yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do it right. I didn't do the themes. I didn't do the way, I didn't set it up the way I was supposed to. And, like I had like 7 different slides, like they were different colors to help differentiate from each other. And so every time I had a red slide, it was the same thing. And it's not supposed to be the same thing.
Okay.
Slide 1 is supposed to be the opener from this day, and slide 2 is your opener from the next day, and slide 3, and so on and so forth. Well, the time I was getting slide 8 was just like slide 1 because I set it up wrong. So
Okay.
now I had to go back and fix it. In addition to putting in the actual problems. So,
So as you're dealing with these kids
mm-hmm.
and you're trying to get their behavior to be a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
you do realize that with you building that routine, you're eventually going to get them to generalize their behavior over and over and over again. And so then all of a sudden, so you're building a process. You're having to build your process, in essence, dealing with, 13, 14, 15 years of them already being pre-trained by somebody else.
Mm-hmm. And then you got some of them that are, want to challenge your authority. And you have to work with that. And some of them who've been failed so many times that they won't even give you a chance, and you've got to try to reach them. So I do love my job, don't get me wrong. I think you have to love this job.
I mean, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that's one of those things you have to be honest with yourself about. So you can't beat yourself up and say, oh my God, I had a hard day. It wasn't supposed to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. That's because when you start to beat yourself up, that's when you start having those negative feelings. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm struggling like this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like today, my colleague next door stopped in to kind of check on me because I've told her I was struggling, and so I was talking to her today, and I found out a few places where I messed up, and so I'll fix that going into chapter 2, going into the next test.
Okay.
So
Every
yeah,
day is a learning experience for you. Every day.
yeah, every day. Oh yeah, for sure. But I got to school this morning and realized that I'm missing a couple of things. There they are. I see them sitting over there, right there. My seating chart. Oh my gosh, I need my seating chart. And I left it at home today. Luckily, it was my A-day classes. A-days are awesome. B-days are a challenge. And so I'll have my seating chart tomorrow with my B-days, my B-day kids.
And there's this crazy thing. Going through Aaliyah and her imbalance is going to probably prepare you for some other kid you get that is imbalanced.
And it's funny that you say that because I did talk to her one day. I said, you know why I take my medicines. It's a chemical imbalance, and I take these medicines to help balance things back out. And I said, do you realize that that's inherited? That's usually a genetic trait. She said, does that mean I'm going to have to take medicine then? I said, it might. And I said, these crazy mood swings that you're having, it might be related to that. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
And how does she respond to it?
And she just kind of, I don't know, she seemed okay. I mean, she didn't react one way or the other.
Well, she's also a teenager, so
Yeah.
that's going to be another piece of it, because teenagers are all over the place.
Yes. Yes. And she lost her dad, and she has two brothers on the autism spectrum, and she has a mom who suffers from depression and anxiety. So
And so that's why, like I said, it's one of those things where you just have to build a process so that she can be comfortable knowing exactly what's coming. Because for a lot of people, that's the hard part, is when you don't know exactly what's coming.
mhm.
Because they don't like the uncertain, they don't like change, they don't like anything they have to try to figure out without knowing that, is this what I have to figure it out?
Mhm. And I'm guilty of not providing a consistent environment.
Yeah, but structure can be created.
Oh, yes, yes. And that was something I was thinking about. That went through my head as I was talking about. She lost her dad and all the things that she was up against. She's also got a mom that's not going to give up and going to work hard. And if thing A doesn't work, then she'll try B, C, D, and E until she finds something that works.
It's kind of using a country analogy, you can start with a pole barn and then make it as nice as you want to. Structure, you can start with basic structure and make it as intricate as you want to. So you start with that pole barn, and you might go, okay, now I want to give it some windows. So you give it some windows. All right, now I don't want this dirt floor anymore. So I'm going to put a floor in here. I want a skylight. But structure is like that pole barn. Each thing is going to build on the next thing that came before it. And so when you do your structure with it, like you said, you didn't start 13 years ago with it. So you start tomorrow, and then you do a little bit more the next day and a little bit more the next day. But it has to start somewhere, because you don't want her at 18 and she has no structure, and all of a sudden she's like, hey mom, yeah, I'm probably not going to graduate high school, and you got a granddaughter on the way or grandkid on the way.
Hopefully she knows. Hopefully that subject's not hopefully that's not going to be the problem, because she knows we've already had all of those talks, and we still talk about it from time to time.
Having those talks and the things that happen are two
I know.
totally.
No, I know, but I'm saying I'm doing everything I can that I feel like I can do by keeping those communication lines open. I'm not saying that's going to prevent it. I'm saying that I feel like I'm doing everything I can do to increase the likelihood of her not doing that. No, I'm under no disillusionment that oh, I've done this, and so no, it's never going to happen. No.
That's you just like, please no, let me make it this far.
I just talked with my late husband's sister earlier tonight, and she is currently raising her 5-year-old grandson. And so she was talking about when he graduates high school, she's going to be 60. And she said, maybe then I can finally stop. But
The question will be will she want to stop?
What, caring for the grandkid, or?
In general, because a lot of times people build roles within their family
Mhm.
And so if your whole life has been based off of you being the caregiver, will you
Mhm.
be able to not be the caregiver?
Yeah, I think she'll be all right in somewhere, and she's she'll figure it out.
You know, because all of a sudden she's taking the next grandkid, or she's doing this, or
Mhm.
her daughter has, ends up having two or three more kids. And so then all of a sudden, it's we all build our roles. So, you have that person who is I'm the peacemaker. And then you have the other one, I'm the person who takes the blame. We all have our roles in a family or in a
Mhm.
relationship. So it's that same type of thing.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, it's hard to unlearn that role or it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about. My niece, she's only about 3 months older than Evan, and her entire life she has lived at home, and she's cared for, well, these for the last 5 years, she's cared for her nephew, and she's now babysitting other people's kids in home, and she said that that's taught her she doesn't want to have kids on her own, which is good, but I don't know that she will have very much ambition beyond watching people's kids.
Well, that's where maybe, somebody else ends up being her inspiration.
Maybe.
So, this might be the time where, for as much as might go, my life hasn't been very, full of experiences and stuff. You could be the person that inspires her to go be a teacher or to go do something else.
Maybe.
I mean, sometimes you don't realize how simple as you going down to visit and you're like, hey, let's go to Baskin Robbins or whatever the ice cream place is down there.
Mhm.
And you just take her out and have a talk with her and you're like, hey, you're good with kids. Well, why don't you, go to school and maybe get an early childhood development or
Mhm.
elementary education? And since you're good with kids, you can work with kids as a teacher.
Mhm.
And so you just kind of help her get to that next spot because you might be the first person that's ever had that type of conversation with her.
Possibly, yeah.
Because I have younger cousins that, like, I found out that I am the model for them doing something different. So my sister was the model for the girls going to the military. My brother was the model for the boys going to the military, and then I was the model for them going off to school and leaving the area. Even though me and my cousins may not have gotten along, I would still be, hey, look at what he's done. He hasn't
Yeah.
lived here in this amount of time. You can do the same thing. Or my niece who ended up going to live in France. I think she's done it like 2 or 3 times now.
She must be a nomad like you.
She is, and she is okay being broke. Like, I ain't got no money, so like, can somebody send me money? But like I said, it's the joke of you find your role,
Mhm.
and she's gotten comfortable because she displays those behaviors. And even though the consequences of her behaviors are a lot of times she has to go without,
Mhm.
she ended up having to realize, hey, I may not like my job, but this job that I gave up was way better than this other one I took that I like, where I'm not making enough money.
Mhm.
Because now she's a dispatcher for like she's an emergency services dispatcher.
Mhm.
I hate this job because it doesn't let me do this, that, and that. And then all of a sudden she got an apartment. She realized that extra 10 or 12 grand that she gave up to go take another job made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So with your boys, since yes, you have to deal with Aaliyah and her moods, but with the boys, have you kind of figured out what makes them tick?
Computer games,
Well, it has to be more than computer games.
food.
But like Evan, what is his true motivation?
I think the boy lives to play on the computer.
So then nothing scares him, because a lot of times you have to look for what is it that actually drives them, because that becomes that's the true trigger for everything else.
Hmm. I mean, if I have to think about what scares him, something happening to me scares him.
Well, yeah, because then he would have to be totally responsible for himself.
So I guess he's scared of that.
So he's scared of not having anybody to fall back on and having to ultimately be responsible. So for him, staying home and not entering the real world is safe for him.
Mm-hmm.
So his statements that he's made, oh, well, I want to stay here as long as possible. Yeah, I'm going to do that extra year of high school. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Is because you've made it safe and warm.
I know.
And that's not a bad thing, because that's what mothers do. They're supposed to nurture.
Yeah, I know.
And you've even admitted yourself that you nurtured him. When your husband wanted to put foot to ass, you were still nurturing, and you played that buffer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so now you're having that problem motivating him to grow up.
Mm-hmm. I do know that the summer job that he took this year was great for him to go in and work hours and get a paycheck.
Uh-huh.
He's in vocational school right now. He attends his regular school in the morning and then the vocational school in the afternoon. And he's doing the mobile app. They have a mobile app, a gaming program at the vocational school. And right now, as part of that, he's taking an intro to like aerospace or
Mhm.
aeronautics or something like that. He loves it. He's talked about, coming home, Mom, I can get my private pilot's license and shuttle people back and forth. And I mean, he's talked about things I've never heard him talk about.
Because he got some exposure.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be good for him and might help him figure out what he wants to do.
Because he's no longer stuck in that safe zone. Because you've already said, look, Evan, this is what's coming. This is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what his behavior is. So he knows what the antecedent, what came before it was him being an a-hole. So he failed classes. Then all of a sudden, he's at the house being an a-hole. And so now the consequence is, if you don't figure it out, you're going to be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, you turn 18 next year, so I don't have to keep you here, even if you're still in high school. Evan, how are you going to pay your bills if you don't have a job? Do you really want to leave your rent up to some dirty old man? And that sounds really harsh,
Mm.
But that's why you have all these people with these OnlyFans running around and doing sex work because they can't afford to pay their bills and they don't have marketable skills. And that's that rough conversation of, unfortunately, for a lot of women, they fall into the mental mindset, I am only worth what my body can get for me. And so you start to see that in the LGBT community for guys too, who have no marketable skills and don't know how to do a hard day's work. They're only worth what their body can get for them. Which becomes a scary thing when people start really processing, oh, so to pay my rent, I have to do what with how many people? And some of them might smell bad or be whatever else. And I may be tired, but this is what I got to do, else I'm going to end up on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's that hard lesson. But once again, that same term, it gets generalized across. If I want to live a certain lifestyle, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I have to do this to try to get to that lifestyle. And I think when you work that stuff with Lincoln, it's also going to help you with Evan. Because Evan right now is following Lincoln's lead of, I don't want to leave home either. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Because the world is scary. And then you throw in the social awkwardness of both of them. And that inability to really connect and make friends, all of a sudden you have a ticking time bomb. So now is where you're going to have to kind of work with both of them. So it's literally working with all three. So literally with Evan, it's going to be, hey, Evan, you're almost 18. This is technically what can happen when you're 18. So how are we going to help you make sure you have those life skills so that you can survive on your own? And it may be just asking him, hey, I need you to write down how you're going to survive on your own. Just to see what he says that he, in his mind, when he goes, oh, I'm going to do it this way, or oh, I'm going to do it that way. And then work with them to see, one, if it's rational, two, if he can actually achieve it. And if he can't, then you start building a plan with them. Hey, how about this? Hey, how about that? And then because Evan's nosy, Evan will kind of listen too.
You mean Lincoln?
Yes, because Lincoln's nosy, he'll be like, oh, if mom's doing that with him now, I might need to start trying to figure that out too. And him doing Votech might actually save Evan from going to do something else. Hold on a second. I need to go grab my phone. It's going off.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So yes, the joys of COVID.
Yeah, that rampant.
Yeah, it's all over the place. And now that it's crazy because teaching people to use COVID precautions are like teaching a child a routine. Because it's literally like wash your hands, cover your mouth, don't sneeze or cough on people.
Wow.
I mean, so that's what it's turned into. Is it literally is a process of having to remind people, keep your mask on, avoid other people, don't do this, keep your social distance.
Well, having been through that last year, you would think that people would remember. how-
What I found out is a lot of people didn't follow the precautions last year.
Oh.
So you have a lot of people that are anti-vaxxers and they didn't follow. So because they didn't get sick or they didn't know anybody who got, death sick, to them it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And being in Kentucky, nobody there respected the fact, hey, wear a mask. I don't care about no mask. The government can't tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor gave me a note and said I ain't got to wear a mask. So that was what I listened to for the whole year.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
But like I said, so trying to teach people, you start to realize, hey, they don't care. They don't want to. They don't want to do it, so they're not going to do it.
That sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said everything is a process. So it takes seeing somebody die around you or losing it all or whatever else for a lot of people to learn the process. Pain and discomfort is what's going to make a lot of people learn. So for a lot of people, it takes, oh, I had to get my car repossessed. Oh, I had to have this happen. Oh, I had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were so mean to me. No, we told you it was going to happen. If you do this, this will be your consequence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to do that. Okay. It's like you telling your kids, if you do not do your chores, you will not get the internet. If
Somebody got on my phone somehow and turned off bedtime tonight because it was 9:40 before I realized, why is the internet still on? And then I went and looked and bedtime had been turned off.
And I guess this is where I would be the petty parent because all four of them would get Disney phones. I mean, all three of them would get Disney phones. The ones where you can only put in 3 or 4 numbers. And so
Yeah.
you press that big red button or the big blue button or the big green button. And those are your phone, those are your programmed phone calls.
It's probably what I should have done, but shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, like I said, I'm petty because I'd be on eBay or Amazon seeing how cheap I can find those little kitty phones. And if they were like 20, 30 bucks, get one, then get the other one. And then once I have all three of them, like, here you go. This is your phone. So, get their phones, put their SIM card in it. This is yours. This is yours. This is yours. You can call me. You can call grandma. You can call, whoever your other 2 numbers you program in there. Be like, well, if you got more than 2 friends, you're in trouble.
I'm not sure any of them do.
I mean, I'm just saying. So you'd be like, literally, you have my number, you have grandma's number, and you have 2 friends.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to talk to you, they better call you because you ain't calling nobody else. And I know it sounds petty, but sometimes you really have to break it down and create a process that's that simple.
Mhm.
So what out of your list did you complete today?
Took my medicine.
Okay.
Mhm. Took my shower, brushed my teeth. I'm not even sure where my list is at the moment.
Did you get up on time?
Um, sort of. I need to improve it. I mean, I was awake when my alarm went off. I didn't actually get up and start getting ready until about 5:35 or so.
But at least you were up at 5:30, which is an improvement.
Yes, because I went to bed last night before midnight, and
Okay.
I'm going to do that again tonight.
So like I said, now this is where you start to look at the process and you have to actually start giving yourself some props. Because you have now made it through how many weeks of school?
2, maybe 3.
So 2 or 3 weeks of school. You haven't missed a day. You haven't strangled any of your kids,
I took a half day on Friday.
but you still went to work.
Yes, I did.
But you took a half day because you were supposed to go do something for one of your kids and you're supposed to go see the kid at school.
Yeah.
So this is where you start going, hey, I've done some things that are positive, and overall, I'm not doing bad. So let's spend this next couple minutes with you telling me, talk to me about the positives now.
Positives. Well, I got my friend from Bowling Green came up for the weekend, and so we got to visit. That was a positive.
Mm-hmm.
I stood in one area of my kitchen and actually worked on cleaning it, worked on decluttering it, took all the dirty dishes out of there, and actually printed up a recipe so that I could use some of the food that's sitting on my counter. Um, Shoot, I keep meaning to do a Kroger click list so I can pick that up tomorrow. But I keep forgetting to do it. What did I do? I figured out, my colleague showed me what I did wrong with my notebooks. And so I'm in the process of fixing those. Um, I've been keeping up with attendance and putting in my EOS scores in my system at school.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to successfully make it to my haircut tonight.
Uh-huh.
And I found somebody to get Aaliyah to school. Her transfer bus is canceled in the morning. So I found somebody to get her to school tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to take her. I'm set things up to prepare. I've got I'm going to court tomorrow. I'm gonna try to it's a speeding ticket I got, and I'm going to ask for leniency and ask them to dismiss the ticket.
Well, for that one, ask for the tuning records for the radar.
Well, I mean, I was speeding. I'm not gonna try to get out of that. I'm just gonna try to be honest and, because I know people it's worked for before. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try.
Well,
Worst thing, to me, the worst thing that happens is I still have to pay the fine and I still have to go to traffic court or traffic school.
okay.
So,
Well, that's a positive attitude. And like I said, this is where, look at all the good stuff that you've done that you probably didn't even think about. So you've made it 2 or 3 weeks. All the lights are on, the water is on, the house is still standing.
I almost got my cell phone turned off, but I got it. I did everything I needed to do.
But you didn't get it turned off.
That's right. I didn't.
And it wasn't that it was getting turned off because you couldn't afford to pay it, you had just forgotten to.
Mm-hmm. So I took some time this weekend and paid my different bills.
So that's what I'm saying. This is where you start to look at, man, I'm actually doing some good stuff for myself. And I'm actually being productive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing well. So yes, I may not be perfect, but I'm doing a lot better than I would usually think about how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because success is a sliding scale. Everybody's successful with something, but some of us are harder on ourselves than others.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, today sucked. Well, why today suck? Because I didn't get this accomplished. Well, how many people do you think would have been happy if they just could have had the meals that you had today and been able to wash their butt in a hot shower? No, that sounds silly, but sometimes it really is reframing it so that it fits your life.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wasn't very successful today. And then you start looking at all the stuff that you checked off.
Mm-hmm.
So you only missed, what, a couple things on your checkoff list today?
I'm not even sure where my checkoff list is and what's on it still.
But I'm saying, just going off the basics, you took your meds, you got
Yep.
up on time,
Yep.
you got ready for school,
Yep.
you brushed your teeth. What time did you get out the house?
6:38. It was tight this morning because Lincoln didn't get up. And I
Okay,
was supposed to turn off his computer or turn off his internet access so that he did not have it this afternoon, and I forgot.
okay. Did you check the chores?
No, because I didn't get home until almost 8 o'clock.
Okay. Where'd you put your purse and your keys?
They're not downstairs, but they're in the same place downstairs.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Much as it seems like you like, oh, I didn't do enough, I didn't do this, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at it, you do a lot more, and it kind of becomes repetitive. So you don't even have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You beat your alarm awake. How often, think about how often that would have happened in the past. I slept through my alarm. I turned off my alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're like, I'm awake and my alarm is going off. I'm awake and then it goes off. What's wrong with me? I need that 2 minutes back.
Shh. That's what I do. Don't
I'm just saying though, that's you're like, oh.
don't make me give up my secret.
So that's what I'm saying in a funny way. So the antecedent was everything was happening and you were unhappy. So then the behavior was you were brooding and you didn't feel like your life was going the way you wanted to. And then the consequence was you were beating yourself up for not feeling like you were doing what you should do. And now you're still going, well, I haven't been successful, but compared to where you were, if you had told yourself a year ago that I'm going to be at this point, you would have been like, there's no way I'm going to be that far ahead. So that's something you should be proud of yourself for, because you're engaging in the process of, this is what caused it, this is how I behaved, this was the consequence.
Mhm.
And so now you're starting to generalize your pro-social behavior across the board. Dinner. Think about how many times y'all would actually eat dinner at home and it wasn't takeout before. Maybe
We had
4
pizza.
times in a month,
We had pizza tonight.
but still compared to what you used to do where it was
Right.
takeout every night.
Yes, 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 yes.
Like, I'm not cooking, yeah, so I got Fazoli's. I'm not cooking, so I picked up lunch meat. I'm not cooking, so I did this. I'm not cooking. Versus you have the kids now, you're like, hey, Aaliyah, it's your night to cook. And she's like, oh, hamburger helper or spaghetti. And
Or
then you got,
chicken tenders in the air fryer. That's
yes.
become a big thing. Chicken tenders in the air fryer.
Well, who doesn't love chicken tenders? And then you got Lincoln. He's gonna try to make tacos or hot dogs or something. He's gonna try to make something.
Hamburgers.
And then Evan's gonna try to make the same thing unless he's with his Michelle P worker.
Mhm.
And even though it becomes repetitive, you already know that, hey, well, it's Tuesday. It's Aaliyah's like to cook. I'm getting hamburger helper. Or chicken tenders or spaghetti. I know it's gonna be a 3-meal rotation from her.
Mhm. She wants to branch out.
But that's when you start letting her do like some really simple things, like since she likes making chicken tenders, instead of chicken tenders, have her cut the chicken up, bread it to flour it, and do breading, do the air fryer, and then this time do like orange chicken sauce on it with rice.
Mhm.
It's still her chicken tenders, it just has a sauce on it with rice now.
Mhm.
And it seems like it's going to seem like something small and simple to you, but that's going to be a big confidence booster for her because she now has a 4th meal she can make. And so those are things. So the same way you had to work on yourself and build your confidence, these same strategies will work for her when you're like, hey, Aaliyah, tell me what you did today.
Mhm.
And then you'd be like, well, did you do this? And she'll be like, well, yeah. And did you do this? And she'll be like, well, yeah. Look at how much stuff you accomplished today that you didn't even think about.
Mhm.
Because being 12, 13, 14 is an awkward age.
Mhm.
So before we go, we're going to role play this. Your mom and I'm Aaliyah.
Okay.
Ah! 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 Oh my God, they touched my Powerade. Ah! Ah! And mom, why do I still have one wet sock? Why are my socks dry, Mom? Ah! Mom, why aren't you talking to me? Mom! Mom! Mom!
Yeah. When you calm down, then I will talk to
Ah!
you.
No,
Go
I need 2 dry socks. Why don't I have dry socks?
go to
Ah! Mom, why aren't
room.
you helping me?
When hysterical Aaliyah disappears and happy Aaliyah comes back, then I will work with you. But
No,
I
you're
can't.
not. You're just saying that. You're just saying that because you don't want to help me. Why won't you help me? If I was Lincoln, you would help me.
I will work with you when you calm down.
Yeah, because if I was Lincoln, you would have helped me already. Because you love Lincoln more than me.
I will work with you when you calm down.
I am calm. I'm not screaming anymore. I'm just saying you love Lincoln more than me. Can't even say that you don't, because you do.
At this point, I would have already just walked away and let her just ramble. or you know, think what you will, and then walked away or whatever.
Sometimes you just have to look at them in cartoon stare and just kind of blink.
Mm-hmm.
And you may even hit them with something classy like, are you finished or are you done?
Sometimes I do that. Are you finished?
Oh no, you give them two options, because here's the thing. People like options because if you only give them one choice, you can't tell me what to do. Are you finished or are you done?
That's the
that's-
same thing. No, it's not. They're two different words.
You either finished what you're doing or you are done with it. And sometimes that making them think is going to be enough to cause a reset.
Mm-hmm.
I had a kid that would act out. I mean, would just totally lose his mind. I figured out the greatest thing ever to shut down his behavior. Pretty strong kid. He's like 15 or 16. I mean, he might be flipping tables. He's acting a whole fool.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in with my cell phone. I go to YouTube and I play the Burton Ernie Rubber Ducky song.
Oh
Immediate
my
shutdown to the point that he will start singing the song and forget what he was doing.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
And so this kid is now, Rubber Ducky, you're the one. You make laughter lots of fun. And so the first time I did that, the rest of the staff who were losing their mind are like, what just happened? Woods, what did you do? Yep, Rubber Ducky song. And so then something happened, kids flipping out. I walk in again. I got my phone on me and I start playing the song from across the room. And he stops and looks at me and starts singing. And so the rest of the staff were like, why did he stop? And then somebody goes, it's that song again. Yeah. It was figuring out how to tie in a behavior, something that broke that behavior chain
Mm-hmm.
to get a whole different response.
Mm-hmm.
I had another kid. He was a fighter, fighting staff, hitting staff, doing all types of crazy stuff. I met him where he was. And so once I was able to reach him, once again, he's flipping out, but this time he's not the Rubber Ducky song. He is me poking myself in the temples, pointing at myself saying, think.
Mm-hmm.
And he could be mid-restraint and he'd see me from across the room going, think, and he would just shut it down. Because a lot of times he took his shirt off, grab his shirt and just say, I'm going to my cell. And then he would just walk past me to his cell, and then I'd go down there and talk with him. But because I was able to do something to break that behavior chain,
Mm-hmm.
he would shut down and be like, oh. So with Aaliyah, Lincoln, and Evan, you're going to have to break the behavior chain.
Mm-hmm.
So with Aaliyah, when she's doing that flip out, and you just kind of look at her, planned ignoring is going to become crazy to her.
Mm-hmm.
You literally go, Aaliyah, well, let me know when you're finished or when you're done, because I got other stuff to do.
Mhm.
You know, or like I said, this is with those pictures I talked about for your classroom. You might
Yes.
have some for home
Yes.
where you have this angry bear that you've laminated, and you literally, you know, she's flipping out and blah, 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 blah.
No grumpy bears.
And you literally just hold up the, does anybody see a grumpy bear? Or my personal favorite, because I used to do it when I was training and I didn't want to curse at people, I would make aggressive animal noises at them to get that same thing across. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get across being belligerent and doing the whole point thing with the face instead of cursing at them, you know, like the kids or, you know, another client would.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting there and they're like, I fucking hate you. And so I'm simulating that instead of doing all the cursing. So I'm doing that and I'm like, try not to laugh. And like I had people tell me, I'd rather you curse at me than do that. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, so I'm the belligerent person. Moo, 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 moo. And so you kept people like, what the? No, you curse at me.
I can see me trying that with some of my hard-nosed kids at school. They think I was nuts.
But like I said, I had these kids and they were like, F you, Mr. Wood, some. Moo. Did he just moo at me? So yes, you shoot them the dirty look with a moo. Moo. And like I said, and you start dealing with each of them differently. So then, you know, I'm sitting there and the kid's just, you know, he's just going. And so I'm sitting there, and like I said, because I'm in my own little world, but this kid's like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. Bah, bah, bah. The kid was like, something wrong with you. Yeah, there's something wrong with me. The same thing that's wrong with you. So maybe we can figure this out together. Mr. Woods, why'd you make a sheep noise at me? Because evidently you weren't willing to listen to people talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
It broke the behavior chain. So they want to be angry. They want to do all this other stuff. But like I said, you break that behavior chain. And so that's something to work on. So when she's doing all that, and one of the things you realized is, I need happy Aaliyah back because yucky Aaliyah is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Yucky Aaliyah is not getting what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, instead of screaming and not even talking, like I said, you might literally just get the start making signs. Somebody's grumpy. Or one of the funniest things I've heard when I was with, like, this guy was big mad. I mean, was big mad. This other guy goes to him, well, sir, you can get happy in the same pants you got sad in.
My dad used to say, well, I'm mad. Well, and you can get glad too.
And so that's the thing. You just have to break the chain. I get these kids, yeah, I'm gonna kick so-and-so's ass and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And I would say stuff that was just totally out of the way to just break the whole train of thought. Mike, you're still into pudding wrestling. What? What? Pudding wrestling? What you mean? You still got that coleslaw in your shoes. Why have coleslaw on my shoes. What does that even mean? But it's something that absolutely doesn't fit the situation that
Mhm.
breaks that train of thought.
Mhm.
Or you know you got a kid and they're just angry. Jesus loves you.
Oh gosh, I can't say that in a public school.
Like I said, I did it because I knew I'd have these kids. Jesus loves you.
Mhm.
Somebody loves you because you're special. Really? Somebody loves me? I care about you enough to say you're better than this. Sometimes it literally is that simple.
Mhm.
I care about you enough, I'm not going to let you be destructive to yourself. And it's not about me being a teacher. It's about me being a human being and wanting to see you do better.
Yeah. Building those relationships.
Because a lot of those kids have never heard that.
Yeah.
A lot of adults have never heard that.
Mhm.
Even with you, when you were talking about how your mom was so hard on you and you didn't know, you couldn't get past all of the barriers she put.
Mhm.
And it scarred you all the way into being an adult.
Mhm. Yep.
And something I'm going to say to you that's going to sound crazy. Between now and Monday, call your mom, have a conversation with her, and just say you love her. Not worried about the politics, not worried about anything else. Just calling her and saying, hey, Ma, I just wanted to give you a call. I was thinking about you and I love you. Because a lot of times people will build up their ego and their pride and they can't do that other piece, which is admitting they were wrong. So instead of, she's not even having to admit it. It literally is a, let's restart this process. Mom, I love you. Hey, I was just thinking about you.
Mhm. Sounds doable.
And then you could say something funny to your dad when you're talking to him. And you'd be like, hey, Dad, for your birthday or Christmas or Father's Day or whatever, how would you feel if you just got a 10mm set of tools? It's a guy thing because any guy who works on stuff, we all know we can never find enough 10mm tools.
Okay.
Like if Craftsman or one of them made just a set of 10mm where you can get like 8 or 10 different 10mm wrenches and all that other stuff, guys would lose their minds. And like I said, just asking them something different because to change that dynamic and reframe it.
Mhm.
It's time to fix yourself, and in the process, fix how you deal with others because they both go together. Because you said it yourself, the way your mom would come home and it was either 100% or nothing,
Mhm.
you can't carry that over because you see that doesn't work with your kids and it doesn't work in this new world. And obviously it didn't work with your sisters either because you look at them and be like, y'all are effed up.
Yep.
But you're the only person carrying that burden. So tonight, after we finish this, I want you to go on your phone and look up an artist. The name was Ultra Nate. And there's a song called Free. And I want you to listen to it.
Okay.
All right, so have a good night.
You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.